57th of amazing weekend. God knows what's left of it. Remember, it's Monday coming shortly. There are people ironing their uniforms, getting ready for the day. Remember to stay positive. There are somebody out there that cares about all of you, and he's standing right here. Cares a great deal, especially those in the barracks. Don't sit there and think that I don't know how you feel. Can't four wall, same thing every day. Xbox. Trust me, I know exactly how it feels. I've been there, and I'm just a kid at heart. Remember that. Especially if you run into me on Xbox, playing Diablo, Halo, what have you. That's Commander Russ right there. Same guy who cares about all of you all over the world. Uh, Not just on YouTube here. I get around. I go out, have fun with my sister nearby, and we go places. Last time I went with her was Georgetown. We went and saw the historic mansion, the War Hall, and in Georgetown, and had fun getting around and stuff. And there's a lot of history in Georgetown. Not just Elizabethtown, living here. There's Kentucky Derby not far, and everything else. Uh, People I care wholeheartedly for and support to this day, especially those in London, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Egypt, Korea, Greece, Canada, South America, Brazil, Mexico, everybody, Russia, Europe, Czechoslovakia, Turkey. God bless Mr. Putin, everybody else, keeping that tourist attraction going. Much love right here at home. Not just flying by a military plane. Escorting U.S. symbol aircraft. Amazing, ain't it? How much attention that guy can get just for helping y'all get home safely. God. I imagine if that was me in an F-15, I wouldn't budge. Let them shoot their video cameras down there. Squawk! Where's Top coming to help? We'll rub it in their face. I'm escorting the president of the USSR. How about that? How about Italy? Hello? With a popcorn. Let the paparazzi talk. What harm can it possibly be? I think someone on Firefox Debris could have said that better. Or was it Transformers? Sesame level. Much love. Clint Eastwood, Firefox. A favorite of mine. Carrying on, Little House of the Prairie. I always talk like it is. Can't hold a heart for people. Look what I got here, kids. The importance of education all over the world. Where's Kibber at? Texas Longhorns. That's right. Kibber cares. Let's rewind a little bit. Last they were talking about making a well. That way they could get the water in the backyard. They're building the house and everything. Do you remember that part? No? That's the refresher of every since you've been going to school at all. Running around doing your homework, daycare and all that. Let's see what Dad has to read today. Keeping the points of keeping the library, the Smithsonian, the museum, the movie. You seen that movie? Good movie, okay. Another good place to visit your local museum, the zoo, that's right, water parks, it's that time of year, camping, fishing, you name it. Things that Dad should be doing. He's breathing positive, hope you're alright in the air. Memory of Michael Landon on the Little House of the Prairie show that's still on TV land. He's breathing positive, he'll be alright in the air. I'm alright, Caroline. I'm tuckered out is all. Well, Mom, Skoda, I should think you would be. Oh, the senseless performances, my goodness, Grace is scaring its body to death, all the want a little reasonable care, my goodness. She covered her face with her apron and burst out crying. That was a terrible day. As you can see here in my house, Christmas light there. Honestly, 3 is a charm. Y'all got that message right there. Oh, that's the point, man. He's breathing, plus it'll be alright in the air. I'm alright, Caroline. Plum Tucker out is all. Well, Moscow, I should think you would be the senseless performance, my goodness gracious. Scaring everybody to death, all for the want of a little reasonable good care. Caring good care. My goodness, she covered her face with an apron and burst out crying. That was a terrible day. I don't want a well, Moscow. See them making a well? And as you can see, kids, there's Christmas all year around here at my house. I'll paint it the other way. Get that. Turn on the windows. Right down. Get that. Right down to the door. That's just one of many rooms all over the place that has Christmas lights honoring all you kids out there who've never seen a Christmas before in their whole life. God bless. You know, especially caring for all you kids out there. I don't want it well, Mossad. It isn't worth it. I won't have you running such risks, Mr. Skyberry. The kind of gas that stays deep in the ground. It stays at the bottom of wells because it's heavier than air. It can't be seen or smelled. But no one can breathe it very long and live. And Paul had gone down into that gas to tie Mr. Scott to the rope so that he would be pulled up out of the gas. When Mr. Scott was able, he went home. Before he went, he said to Paul, "You're right about that kennel business. Ingalls, I thought. It was all foolishness. No one else bothered with it, but I found out my mistake." "Well, Paul," said Paul, "where a light can't live, I know I can't, and I like to be safe when I can. Be all's well that ends well." Imagine saying that 3 times backwards. Well ends that well, all's but. Ewtw. Paul rested a while. He had breathed a little of the gas, and he felt like resting. From a tired little munchkin who listens to music starting to sleep, listen to her too. In the little chair with his son character. After playing those calls. But that afternoon he reveled a thread from a tow sack, and that movie made Ryan as well. God bless you. Favorite of mine. A little powder from his powder horn. He tied the powder into a piece of cloth with one end of the tow string the powder. "Come along, Laura," he said, "and I'll show you something." They went to the well. Paul lied the end of the string and waited till the spark was crawling along it. Then he dropped the little buns in the well. Any minute they heard a muffled bang and a puff of smoke came out of the well. "That will bring the gas," Paul said. And as you know, dirt has a lot of ground area, and sometimes it has a little gas. When the smoke was all gone, he let Laura light the candle and stand beside him. While he let it down all the way down the dark hole, the little candle kept on burning like a star. So next day, Paul and Mr. Scott went on digging the well, but they didn't. But they always sent the candle down every morning. There began to be a little water in the well, but it was not enough. The buckets came up full of mud, and Paul and Mr. Scott worked every day in deeper mud. In the mornings, when the candle went down and lighted oozing wet walls and candlelight sparkles and rings over the water, when the bucket struck bottom. Paul stood knee-deep in the water and bailed out bucketfuls before he could begin digging in the mud. One day when he was digging, a loud shout came echoing up. Ma ran out of the house, and Laura ran to the well. "Pull, Scott, pull!" Paul yelled. His swishing, gurgling run echoed down there. Mr. Scott turned the windlass as fast as he could, and Paul came up climbing hand over hand up the rope. "I'm blamed if that's not quicksand," Paul gasped as he stepped out on the ground, muddy and dripping. I was pushing down hard on the spade when all of a sudden it went down the whole length of the hand, and water came pouring up all around me. A good 6 feet of his rope wet Mr. Scott winding it up. The bucket was full of water. You showed sense in getting out of that overhand Ingles. That water came up faster and I could pull you out. Then Mr. Scott slapped his thigh and shouted, "I'm blasted if you didn't bring up the spade." Sure enough, Paul had saved his spade. In a little while the well was almost full of water. Its circle of blue sky lay not far down in the ground. And when Laura looked at it, a little girl's head looked up at her. As you know, they're close to Texas territory. Waved her hand on the water. Steph waved too. The water was clear and cold and good. Laura thought she had never tasted anything so good as these long cold drinks of water. Paul hauled no more stale warm water from the creek. He built a soft platform over the well, and a heavy cover for the hole that let the water bucket through. Laura must never touch that cover. But whenever she or Mary was thirsty, Ma lifted the cover, drew a dripping bucket of cold, fresh water from that well. Texas Longhorns. One evening, Laura and Paul were sitting on the doorstep. The moon shone over the dark prairie. The winds were still and softly. Paul played his fiddle. He let a last note quiver far, far away until it dissolved in the moonlight. Everything was so beautiful that Laura wanted to stay so far forever. But Paul said it was time for a little girl to go to bed. When Laura heard a strange, low, distant sound, "What's that?" she said. Paul listened. "Castle by George," he said. "Must be the cattle herds against the north of the Dodge." After she undressed, Laura stood in her nightgown at the window. The air was very still, not a grass blade rustled, and far away and faint she could hear that sound. It was almost a rumble, almost a song. "And that singing, Paul?" she asked. "Yes," Paul said. "The cowboys are singing. The cattle are asleep. Now hop into bed, you little scallywag." Laura thought of cattle lying on the dark ground in the moonlight, of cowboys, soft singing lullabies. Next morning, when she ran out of the house, two strange men were sitting on a horse by the stable. They were talking to Paul. They were red-brown as Indians, but their eyes were narrow slits between squinting eyelids. They wore flaps of leather over their legs, and spurs, and wide-brimmed hats. Handkerchiefs were. You see that? Not just in Western movies. Look at that. Elaborate closely. Some of you never read a Western novel. You're welcome. Just in a bit low key. Almost as amusing as reading Shakespeare for the first time, yes? Interesting how Casanova gets around, huh? Bring such names, his thought, was long thought forgotten. No, I don't think so. Not just in opera theaters. There are people who listen to me and listen to opera at the same time. Multitasking. Squared away, God bless them. Must be the cattle herds going north to Fort Dodge. You thought it was just symphonies? After she was undressed, Laura stood in the nightgown at the window. The air was very still. Not a grass blade rustled, and far and faint she could hear that sound. It was almost a rumbling, almost a song. "And that singing, Paul?" she asked. "Yes, Paul, the cowboys are singing. The cattle are asleep. Now hop into bed, you little scallywag." Laura thought of cattle lying on the dark ground in the moonlight, and of cowboys softly singing lullabies. Next morning, when she ran out of the house, two strange men were sitting on a horse by the stable. They were talking to Pa. They were red-brown as Indians, but their eyes were narrow slits between squinting eyelids. They wore flaps of leather over their legs, and spurs and wide-brimmed hats. Handkerchiefs were knotted around their necks, and pistols were on their hips. They said so long to Pa, and high yipped to their horse. And they galloped away. Here's a piece of luck, Pa said to Ma. Those men were cowboys. They wanted Pa to help them keep the cattle over the ravines. Amongst the bluffs, the creek palms. Pa would not charge them any money, but he told them he would take a piece of beef. How would you like a good piece of beef? Pa asked. Oh, Charles, said Ma, and her eyes shone. Pa tied his biggest handkerchief around his neck. He showed Laura how he could pull it up over his mouth and nose to keep the dust out. Then he rode Patty west along the Indian Trail, till Laura and Mary couldn't see him anymore. All that day the hot sun blazed and the hot winds blew, and the sounds of the cattle herds came near. It was a faint, mournful sound of cattle lowing at noon. Dust was blowing along the horizon. Ma said that so many cattle trampled the grasses flat and stirred up dust from the prairie. Pa came riding home at sunset, covered with dust. There was dust in the beard and his hair and on the rims of the eyelids, and dust fell off his clothes. He did not bring any beef because the cattle were not across the creek. Yet the cattle went very slowly, eating grass. As they went, they had to eat enough grass to be fat when they came to the cities where people ate them. Pa did not talk much that night, and he didn't play the fiddle. He went to bed soon after supper. The herds were so near that Laura could hear them plainly. The mournful lowing sounded over the prairie. Still that night was dark. Then the cattle were quieter, and cowboys began to sing. Their songs were not like lullabies. They were high, lonely, wailing songs, almost like the howling of wolves. Laura lay awake, listening to the lonely songs, wandering in the night. Farther away, real wolves howled. Sometimes the cattle lowed, but the cowboy songs went on, rising and falling and wailing. Away under the moon, when everyone else was asleep, Laura stole softly to the window, and she saw three paws. The cowboys' saddles when the cattle lunged with their horns toward either cowboy. The other cowboy's pony braced its feet and held her. The cow bawled, and the little calf bleated in her balls. Ma watched from the window while Mary and Laura stood against the house and started. The cowboy held the cows with a rope while Pa tied her to the tail. Then they said goodbye to him and rode away. Pa could not believe that Pa had actually brought home the cow. But it really was their own cow. The calf was too small to travel, Pa said, and the cow could not be too thin to sell. So the cowboys had given them to Pa. They had given him the beef, too. A big chunk was tied to his saddle horn. Pa and Ma and Mary and Laura and even baby Carrie laughed for joy. Pa always laughed out loud, and his laugh was like great bells ringing. When Ma was pleased, she smiled a gentle smile that made Laura feel warm all over. But now she was laughing because they had a cow. Give me a bucket of Caroline, said Pa, and he was going to milk the cow. Right away, he took the bucket, he pushed back his hat, and he squatted by the cow to milk her. And that cow bunched herself and kicked flat on his back. Pa jumped up, his face and was blazing, and his eyes were snap blue and smart. Now, by the great horn spoons, I'll milk her, he said. He got his axe and he sharpened two stout slabs of oak. He pushed the cow against the stable and he drove those slabs deep into the ground beside her. The cow bawled and the little calf squalled. Pa tied a post firmly to the post and stuck their ends in the cracks of the stable to make it tense. Don't forget story time here for those on post kids. Now the cow could not move forward at the bar library, backward or sideways, but the little calf or your local library. But the little cow or bookstore. But the little cow nudged its way between its mother and the stable, so the baby calf felt safe and stopped bawling. It stood on that side of the cow and drank its supper. I know what he was all about to say. He's overdue for a visit at a cereal bookstore. Interesting on a mini. It stood on that side of the cow and drank its supper, and Pa put his hand through the fence and milk. From the other side, he got a tin cup almost full of milk. Well, trying again in the morning, he said, the poor thing's as wild as deer. But he got a tin cup almost. Poor thing as wild as deer, but gentle her will gentle her. The dark was coming on. Nighthawks were chasing. Insects on the dark air, bullfrogs were croaking in the creek bottom. A bird called whip, whip, whoop, poor will, hoo, woo, and owl. Far away the wolves howled and Jack was growling. The wolves are following their herds, Paul said. Tomorrow I'll build a strong high yard for the cow that wolves can't get into. So they all went into the house with the beef, Pa, Mom, Mary, and Laura all agreed to give the milk to baby Carrie. They watched her drink it. The tin cup hit her face, but Laura could see the gulp of milk going down her throat. Gulp by gulp, she swallowed all that good milk. Then she licked the foam from her lips with her red tongue and laughed. It seemed a long time before the cornbread and the sizzling beef steaks were done. But nothing had ever tasted so good, so they talked juicy beef, and everyone was happy because now there would be milk to drink and perhaps even butter for the cornbread. Then lowing off the cattle herd was far away. Again the songs of cowboys were almost too faint to be heard. All those cattle were on the other side of the creek bottoms. Now in Kansas, tomorrow they would slowly go farther along northern to Fort Dodge where the soldiers were. That's what I just read. It's based on the show Little House on the Prairie. If you ever seen that on here, you should look it up. Swallow all the good milk. Then she licked the foam from her lip with her red tongue laugh. 171. Indian camp. Ta-da! Look at that. Day after day was hotter than the day before. The wind was hot, as if it became out another mile. Said the grass was turning yellow. The whole world was rippling green and golden under the blazing sky. At noon the wind died, no birds sang, everything was so still that Laura could bear the squirrels chatting in the trees down by down. The Greek suddenly black crows flew overhead, cawing their rough, sharp calls, then everything was still again. Ma said that was midsummer. Paul wondered where the Indians had gone. He said they left their little camp on the prairie. One day he asked Laura and Mary if they would like to see that camp. Laura jumped up and down and clapped her hands, but Ma objected. It is so far, Charles, she said, and in this heat, Pa Blue's eyes twinkled. This heat doesn't hurt the Indians, it won't hurt us. He said, come on, girls. Please can't Jack came to, Laura begged Pa, taking his gun, but he looked at Laura and he looked at Jack, then he looked at Ma and Pa, and he put the gun up on its pegs again. All right, Laura, he said, I'll take Jack, Caroline, and leave you the gun. Jack jumped around them, swagging his stumps of a tail. As soon as he saw which way they were going, he set off trotting ahead. Pa came next, and behind him came Mary, and then Laura. Mary kept her sunbonnet on, but Laura let hers dangle down her back. The ground was hot under their bare feet. The sunshine pierced throughout their faded dresses and tingled on their arms and backs. The air was really as hot as the air in the oven, and smelled faintly like baking bread. Pa said the smell came from all the grass seeds parching in the heat. They went farther and farther into the vast prairie. Laura felt smaller and smaller. Even Pa did not seem as big as it really was. At last, they went down into the little hall where the Indians had camped. Jack started up a big rabbit. When it bounded out of the grass, Laura jumped Pa, said quickly, let him go. Jack will meet him now. So Jack down and watched the big rabbit go bounding away from the hollow. Laura and Mary looked around them. They stayed close to Pa. Low bushes grew on the sides of the hollow bush, with its very berries faintly pink and somewhat holding up green cones, but showing her in their bright red leaf. The goldenrod plumes were tearing gray. Large eyed daisies, yellow pale hung down from the crowd centers. All this was hidden in the secret little hollow. From the house, Laura had seen nothing but grasses. Now from this hollow, she could not see the house. The prairie seemed to be low, but it was not low. Laura asked Paul if there was a lots of hollow on the prairie like this one. He said there were. Are Indians in them? She almost whispered. He said he didn't know. There might be. She held tight to his hand. Mary held his other hand, and they looked at the Indians' camp. There were ashes where Indian campfires had been. There were holes in the ground where tent poles had been driven. Bones were scattered where Indian dogs had gnawed them. All along the sides of the hollow, Indian ponies had bent the grass short. Tracks of big moleskins and smaller moccasins were everywhere, and tracks of little bare toes. And over these tracks were tracks of rabbits and tracks of birds and wolves. Tracks. Paul read the tracks for Mary and Laura. He showed them tracks of two middle-sized moccasins by the edge of campfire ashes. An Indian woman was squatted there. She wore a leather skirt with fringes. The tiny marks of the fringe were in the dust. The track of her toes inside the moccasins was deeper than the track of her heels because she leaned forward to stir something cooking upon the fire. Then Paul picked up a smoke-blackened forked stick, and he said that the paw hung from his stick laid across the top of two upright forked sticks. He showed Mary and Laura the hole where the forked sticks had been driven on the ground. Then he told them to look at the bones around that campfire and tell him what had cooked in that pot. They looked at and they said, "Rabbit." That was right. The bones were rabbit's bones. Suddenly Laura shouted, "Look!" Something bright blue glittered in the dust. She picked it up, and it was beautiful blue. Bread, Laura shouted with joy. Then Mary saw a red beet, and Laura saw a green one, and they forgot everything but beads. Pa helped them look. They found white beads and brown beads, and more red blues. All the afternoon they hunted for beads in the dust of the Indian camp. Now and then Pa walked up to the edge of the hollow and looked toward home. Then he came back and he helped to hunt for more beads. They looked on the ground over carefully. They couldn't find any more. It was almost sunset. Laura had a handful of beads, and so did Mary, and Paul tied them carefully in his handkerchief. Laura's beads in the one corner, Mary in another corner. He put the handkerchief in his pocket, and they started home. The sun was low behind their backs when they came out of the hollow. Home was small and very far away. And Paul did not have his gun. Paul walked so swiftly that Laura could hardly keep up. She trotted as fast as she could, but they sunk faster. Home seemed farther and farther away. Then Prairie seemed large. And when it ran over it, the whispering something frightened. All the grasses shook as if they were scared. Then Paul turned around, his blue eyes twinkling at Laura. He said, "Getting tired, little half pint. It's a long way for little legs." He picked her up, a big girl that she was, and he settled her safe against his shoulder. He took Mary by the hand, so they all came home together. Supper was cooking on the fire. Ma was setting the table, and baby Carrie played with little pieces of wood on the floor. Pa tossed the handkerchief to Ma. "I'm later than I meant, Caroline," he said, "but look what the girls found." He took the milk bucket, went quickly to bring Pet and Prairie from their picket lines and two small that cow. Ma untied the handkerchief and explained at what she had found. The beads were even prettier. They even had been in the Indian camp. Laura stirred her beads with her fingers and watched them sparkle and shine. "These are mine," she said. Then Mary said, "Carrie can have mine." Ma waited to hear what Laura would say. Laura didn't want to say anything. She wanted to keep those pretty beads. Her chest felt all hot, and she wished with all her might that Mary wouldn't always be such a good little girl. But she couldn't let Mary be better than she was. So she said slowly, "Karen can have mine too. That's my unselfish good little girl," said Ma. She poured Mary beads into Mary's hands and Laura into Laura's hands. And she said she would give them a thread to string them on. The beads would make a pretty necklace for Carrie to wear around her neck. Mary and Laura sat beside on that bed, and they strung those pretty beads on their thread. That Ma gave them each wet hair end of the thread in the mouth and twisted it rightfully. Then Mary put her end of the thread through the small hole in each of the beads, and Laura put her in through the beads by one. You see them putting necklaces together? Look at that. Didn't say anything. Perhaps Mary felt sweet and good inside, but Laura didn't. When she looked up at Mary, she wanted to slap her, so she dared not look at Mary again. The beads made a beautiful string. Carrie clapped her hands and laughed when she saw it. Then Ma tied it around Carrie's little neck, and glittering there, Laura felt a little bit better. After all, her beads were not enough beads to make a whole string, and neither were Mary's, but together they made a whole string of beads for Carrie. When Carrie felt the beads on her neck, she grabbed at them. She was so little that she did not know any better than to bring the string, so Ma untied it. Then she put the beads away until Carrie should be old enough to wear them. And often after that, Laura thought of those pretty beads, and she was still naughty enough to want her beads for herself. But it had been a wonderful day. She could always think about that long walk across the prairie, and above all, about all they had seen in the Indian camp. Fever and argued. Now blackberries were ripe in the hot afternoon. Laura went with Ma to pick them, the big black juicy berries hung thick in berry patches in the creek bottoms. Deer lay in the shadow groves and watched Ma and Laura. Blue jays flew at their sub nets and scolded because they were taking at the berries. Snakes hurriedly crawled away from them, and in the trees the squirrels woke up and chattered at them. Wherever they went amongst the scratchy briars, mosquitoes rose up in buzzing swarms. Mosquitoes were thick on the big ripe berries, sucking the sweet juice, but they liked to bite Laura and Ma as much as they liked to eat the blackberries. Laura's fingers in her mouth were purple and black with berry juice. Her face and her hands and bare feet were covered with briar scratches and mosquito bites, and they were splattered with purple stains, too. Where she had slapped at the mosquitoes, but every day they brought home pails full of berries, and Mom spread them in the sun to dry. Every day they ate all the blackberries they wanted. Next winter they would have dried blackberries to stew. Mary handed out hardly ever went to pick blackberries. She stayed in the house to mind baby Carrie. See them picking the berries? Look at that. Because she was old in the daytime, there was only one or two mosquitoes in the house. But at night, if the wind wasn't blowing hard, mosquitoes came in thick swarms on a still night. Pa kept piles of damp grass burning all around the house and stable. The damp grass made a smudge and smoke to keep the mosquitoes away. But a good many mosquitoes came anyway. Pa could not play his fiddle in the evenings because so many mosquitoes bit him. Mr. Edwards did not come visiting after supper any more because the mosquitoes were so thick in the bottoms. All night, Pet and Patty, the colt and the calf and the cow were stamping and wishing their tails in the stable. And in the morning, Laura's forehead was speckled with mosquito bites. This won't last long, Pa said. Fall's not far away, and the first cold will settle him. Laura did not feel very well. One day she felt cold, even in the hot sunshine. She could not get warm by the fire. Ma asked why she and Mary did not go out to play. And Laura, she didn't feel like playing. She was tired and she ate. Pa stopped her, worked and asked, "Where do you ache?" Laura didn't exactly know. She just said, "I just ache. My legs ache." "I ache too," Mary said. Ma looked at them and said they looked healthy enough. But she said something must be wrong or they wouldn't be so quiet. She pulled up Laura's skirt and petticoats to see where her legs ached. And suddenly Laura shivered all over. She shivered so that her teeth rattled in her mouth. Ma put her hand against Laura's cheek. "You can't be cold," she said. "Your face is hot as fire." Laura felt like crying. But of course she didn't. Only little babies cried. "I'm hot now," she said. "And my back aches." Ma called Pa and he came in. "Charles, do look at the girls," she said. "I do believe they are sick. Well, I don't feel well any too well myself. And Pa, first I'm hot, and then I'm cold. And I ache all over. Is that the way you feel, girls? Do you bury your bones ache?" Mary and Laura said that was the way they felt. Then Ma and Pa looked a long time at each other, and Ma said, "The other place for you girls is in bed." It was so queer to be put to bed in the daytime, and Laura was so hot that everything seemed wavering. She held on to Ma. neck while Ma was undressing her, and she begged Ma to tell her that was wrong with her. You will be all right, don't worry, Ma said cheerfully. Laura crawled into bed, and Ma tucked her in. It felt good to be in bed. Ma smoothed her forehead with her cool, soft hand and said, "There now, go to sleep." Laura did not exactly go to sleep, but she didn't really wake up again after a long, long time. Strange things seemed to keep happening in age. She would see Pa crouching by the fire in the middle of the night. Then suddenly sunshine hurt her eyes, and Ma fed her broth from a spoon. Something dwindled slower, smaller and smaller, till it was tinier. Then the tinier thing, then slowly it swelled, till it was larger than it could be, too. Voices jabbered faster and faster. Then a slow voice drawled more slowly than Laura could bear. There were no words, only voices. Mary was hot and beside them. Mary threw off the clothes. Laura cried because she was cold. Then she was bearing up. Pa handed the cup of water, spilled down her neck. Then tin cup ran against her teeth till she could hardly drink. Then Ma tucked in close, and Ma burned against Laura's cheek. She heard Pa say, "Go to bed, Caroline." Ma said, "You're sick, and I am charged." Laura opened her eyes and saw bright sunshine. Mary was sobbing, "I want a drink of water. I want a drink of water. I want a drink of water." Jack went back and forth between the big bed and the little bed. Laura saw Pa lying on the floor by the big bed. Jack paw at Pa and whined. He took his hold of Pa's sleeve with his teeth and shook it. Pa had lifted up a little and he said, "I must get up. I must, Caroline." And the girl's then his head fell on back and he lay still. Jack lifted up his nose and howled. I'm gonna stop there, kids. Let's say some prayers. Remember that no road is too alone. Care Bear cares. Look around when you're feeling down. I'm always around, day and night, like a soft blanket holding you tight. Care Bear cares, day and night. Think of those that love you, holding on to you tight. As much as I care for you, I'm never far away. Don't be sad, be happy, be glad. Learn to share, be kind to one another, even while you're staring at Care Bear. And just remember, God has showed me that life is not a lonely road, till He brought me forth before all of you. Much love. Say a prayers for the night, especially you kids, hoping one day you'll have a parent like me. Anything is possible if you put your heart and mind in the right place. You must believe these things, yeah? Salam alaikum. Konnichiwa, all my friends, especially you kids in China, all those all over the world, Mongolia, Tao area, people who I care about wholeheartedly, London, Rome, Egypt, people, India, North America, South America, Europe, Alaska, the South Pole, Fuji area, especially Jamaica. All those people I care about, those kids, orphanages, uh, places that help kids get adopted, especially UNICEF. God bless them. Not just reading OSB newspaper. Care Bear cares more than you know. Wholeheartedly for a single father. God bless my son who's gonna watch this eventually. I know whoever's looking out for him is working hard, but that's not the point. The point is he needs his dad and he needs him now. You shouldn't be deprived of him as a reward. Or my friend should be used to be deprived. Have me be deprived from him. That's not how you thank a guy for caring for the whole world. Obviously, for somebody who was taught the difference between right and wrong as a child. Living here in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, with a psychology degree and a family of nurses. I miss my grandmother a great deal up there. Y'all pray, say your prayers tonight. May God watch over me, hold me close, hold me tight. May God watch over those around me, all those I think about, oh Lord. May God watch over my health, those next door to me and those around me. May God watch over the military. May God watch over those parents who have yet to come home and see those kids, not just on computer screens. They want to hug so much. Especially those who just gave life, helped give life to a newborn. God bless them in doing so much sacrifice and so much time away from home and providing a neighboring town torn by ignorance, a gift of peace and a taste of the American freedom, not just in movies. Much love. Amen. Remember that Care Bear cares. There's shows on TV. I recommend Sesame Street, Walt Disney Movies, Walt Disney, Sir Walt. He's a serious friend of mine. He gets around James Bond level and leaves a hint. God bless all those I think about day and night. I miss a great deal. That's one of my code names at a hotel there, Mickey Mouse. When you know Care Bear's in town and he's not there for his health, obviously. Amazing little munchkin ninja warriors coming around the corner, sneaking into Care Bear's kid's car. Only 9 years old. How is this possible? How else they've been teaching you on those cartoons? I mean, I know friends who are die-hard James Bond FBI agents who want to see this in slow motion. Okay, do that again, flipping over and through the car, backseat. Okay, I got that one. No Munchkin fans, supporters. And just remember to do your homework while mom's taking a nap. Now she can get away with that one, huh? Nice try. God bless all those who send their kids first before seeing me singing their moms and dads. What's really going on? Y'all too shy to drop by? Don't worry, I'll send your kids back spoiled rotten. How about that? Carry kids, here my big house bachelor pad with a nice cozy fireplace. Interesting. What better way to get a bachelorette to come around, huh? As much as Danny's son I run into and his wife, I often tell her to come by and stay a while. And there are people I care about, parents out there who know how it feels. And, no judgments, no discrimination, no nothing. And, like I said, there's always someone out there who's jealous of my success and your success, and they're trying very hard to decredit everything I ever did for any of you. And I appreciate it if you just uh, disregard their false tongues and better yourselves by turning them to your local authorities, because obviously spreading hatred is not what this web channel is about. These people here who watch this day and night keep it secure, they sacrifice a lot of time from their loved ones. I feel for the mom who has to bring her kids to work just to keep my channel going. God bless her. And everybody else wholeheartedly. This system is becoming very busy very quickly, and you would be amazed how many towers in one room alone has Quebec's chaos. Which is also, I also thank those looking out for my stuff, my son's stuff, my son's Ford Focus out there in the garage, and everything else POW I support night and day who do right and don't let anybody in that after hours who spread hate or what have you, squared away karate chop nuns and pastors, especially mayors, you name it, generals who drop by and stay a while, making sure K-Bear stays safe and everybody else around them. God bless them and their family. I sacrificed 7 going on 8 years for all of you, and there's not a day or hour that doesn't go by I don't think of those I care or miss a great deal. God knows it's not easy being away from a lot of you. I go where God tells me, and just like every other military father or mom, there's a sense of purpose and know that I'm always away, not far away, and stay positive and watch your health while watching my channel and those amazing cartoons like Ice Age, Finding Nemo, going to bookstores, staying educated. Don't drop out. You're almost there. Stay educated. Just because you didn't get a high enough score like the other kids, that doesn't mean quit. Don't give up. Keep going. If you didn't want that diploma this far, you wouldn't be quit. You wouldn't be stopping now. It's coming from a dad with a kid. And I hope all you had a great weekend, and remember Father's Day. Much love. Right here in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. To write, send correspondence 328 Home Street, Elizabethtown, Kentucky 42701 by UPS. Okay? Alright, Facebook. Facebook. That's right. Much loves. Right here at home. God bless. I'm not so new bachelor. Like pill potters who know the abbreviation for this. That's right. Ta-da. God